The town of Willow Creek had always been surrounded by dense, sprawling forests. People often joked that the trees breathed for the town, their massive branches weaving a canopy over the small community. But when the first fire came, those same trees turned against them, funneling flames through the valley like a chimney. The fire claimed half the town that summer, leaving behind a scared, blackened wilderness. 2 years later, the forest seemed to have healed. Green grass pushed through the ash, and wildlife slowly returned. But there were some whispering among the townfolk, stories of hikers disappearing and eerie lights flickering in the woods at night. Most dismissed it as paranoia, but Ava's father, a retired firefighter, was certain something wasn't right. "You don't mess with what's already burned," he'd say. "Sometimes fire doesn't just take, it leaves something behind." Ava thought it was nonsense. As a forestry student, she knew fires were part of nature's cycle. Still, her father's word echoed in her mind as she and her classmates set out to study the regrowth patterns in the forest. The air smelled faintly of charred wood, even after 2 years, and the blackened stumps jutted from the ground like gravestones. The first strange thing they found was a footprint. It was massive, far too large for any human, and the edges of it were singed, as if burned into the soil. Ava dismissed it as a prank, but the others weren't so sure. By the third day, the strange occurrences had piled up, animals behaving erratically, patches of scorched earth where no fire should have been, and at night an unsettling hum that seemed to rise from the ground itself. On the fourth night, the fire returned. It began with a faint glow deep in the woods, flickering like a distant campfire. Ava and her group watched in uneasy silence as the glow grew brighter, spreading unnaturally fast. But there was no smoke, no heat, just a growing sense of dread. "It's heading this way," one of her classmates whispered, his voice trembling. They grabbed their gear and ran, but the fire moved faster than they could. It weaved through the trees like a living thing, forming walls of light that herded them deeper into the forest. The hum grew louder, now punctuated by sharp cracks that sounded like voices calling from within the flames. Ava's heart raced as she stumbled over roots and debris. When she glanced back, she saw shapes in the fire, human-like figures, their bodies shimmering and translucent, their faces twisted in agony. They reached out to her, their mouths opening and closing in silent screams. She ran until her legs gave out, collapsing in a clearing bathed in the eerie glow of the fire. It circled her, the flames forming a ring. The figures emerged, stepping closer, their bodies flickering like old film. One reached her, its hands skeletal and ash covered its eyes, hollow and black, locked onto hers. "You can't run from it," it rasped. "It always comes back." The next morning the fire was gone, and so was Ava's group. The rescue team found no bodies, no burned areas, only a strange circular patch of earth where the grass had turned to ash. In the center, Ava's charred notebook lay open, the final page scorched in a single word. "Run." Now, whenever a wildfire threatens Willow Creek, the locals warn newcomers never venture into the forest at night. They say the fire doesn't just destroy, it hunts. And if you listen closely, you can still hear Ava's voice on the wind, warning those who wander too far. "Run."